Hi there everyone. So in this lecture, what we are going to do is to learn how to register the data access service that we created in the last lecture to the startup class for further usage within the components. So in my project, I have opened the startup service or startup class, startup.cs, and then I have commented out add the data access service here. Okay, so all I need to do is one line of code. So I am using the services service collection type services. This is actually added to the configure services method of the startup class with dependency injection. So I am now going to use this dependency injected object services dot add. You can see add singleton, add scope, and there is add transient as well. So it will, I'll just bring it. Add transient. So I will choose this one, services.add transient, and I will explain in a bit after I have registered this service. So what I will do is, you can see there are 4 overloads. So I will take the second overload. So add transient, and it will take a T service and T implementation. The service is of the type that interface. So what was the interface? If you look into this MovieDB service class, the interface name was iMovieDB service, and the class which implements the iMovieDB service is MovieDB service. Right. So first I have to register the iMovieDB service. Now I have to bring in another namespace. So this will ask me to use Blazor movie app.services because I have got it all in the services folder, and then this squiggly line is gone, and then I will register the MovieDB service, and then a pair of empty brackets. Now what is this add transient? Okay, so this is the lifetime. This is the lifetime of scope. Now let's study it in a bit. Now this line of code, so it adds the MovieDB service to the services collection or the service collection. The service type is set to iMovieDB service, so that if an instance of that type is requested, they get an instance of MovieDB service. And the lifetime is set to transient, so a new instance is created every time. Now, it is critical to understand what is a service lifetime. When a component requests another component through dependency injection, now dependency injection we brought up here while we injected to the public constructor its context object of type application DB context. So, and then we started using the underscore context. Okay, so and then we wrote all the CRUD methods. So that was dependency injection, so or constructor injection, you can say, to the ASP.NET Core application. Now it is critical again that when a component requests another component through dependency injection, like we did in the MovieDB service class, whether an instance it receives is unique to that instance of the component or not depends on the lifetime. Setting the lifetime thus decides how many times a component is instantiated and if a component is shared. So there are 3 options. So as we saw that there are services.add. If you just comment this out and then services dot add singleton. So add singleton adds a singleton service of the type specified in the T service to the specified iService collection. And add scope, this will only say add the scoped service. So what are these? Singleton and scoped and transient. So singleton means only a single instance will ever be created. That instance is shared between all the components that required it within the same request or even across the different HTTP requests. So when I say request, I mean HTTP request. Now the same instance is thus used always. And scoped means an instance is created once per scope, and a scope is created on every request or HTTP request to the application. Thus, any components registered as scoped will be created once per request, whereas on the other hand, the transient components are created every time they are requested and are never shared. In our application, we could have as well chosen, so let's uncomment this. We could have chosen add scoped or add singleton, but we are happy with what we have chosen, add transient, because we are happy to create new instances of this service class anytime it is requested, which will get disposed of when a fresh instance is created. So if we have, we would normally go for adding singleton service if it has to remain the same instance needs to be used within different requests or within the same request from different components, which is not the case. If we had the database connection which needed to be persisted across the request or within the same request from different components, then we would need singleton. And we could have gone for add scoped, but add scoped means the same instance will be, the new instance that is created will be used if the request is the same, but if there is a fresh HTTP request, then a different instance will be created. But we preferred the add transient because it is lightweight and for our purpose it is sufficient enough. Okay, so if two components here need the service instance, each component gets their own service instance and then can run in parallel, and we don't need to share the same instance of the class, this data access service class. So we are happy to go for add transient. So in this lecture we have registered the services, data access service, along with the interface that we implemented to the startup class, and explained the scope or the lifetime of the services.